Hello.
Hello, Stinky Winkies.
That's what you get from that child. We are doing the next part of The Ice Monster,
From chapter 4.
chapter 29, but good guess. If you remember in the last one, they were just starting with their experiment to try and bring the ice monster back to life using lightning from a storm and a copper wire and a parachute or a weather balloon made out of silk handkerchiefs and a pair of bloomers. Down in the main hall, the professor was sitting in his wheelchair, staring up at the ice monster. Frozen air was smouldering from the glass tank. Elsie dashed down the steps to join him. The ice! It's melting! Yes, child, I turned off the cooling system, replied the professor. Otherwise we would never get the end of that copper wire into that creature's heart. But what if we bring it back to life and it drowns in the water? I've thought of that, young lady. That's what this is for. From under the wheelchair, he produced a frightening tool that looked halfway between a hammer and an axe. A pickaxe. Yes, child. It will break through the glass. Now, are you ready? Ready for what? To dive into the tank, of course. Me? I can't swim. What if I drown? The professor thought for a moment. Then, urchin, you will be immortalised. Immortalised? Yes, immortalised in a short footnote in the story of how I, the great professor, brought the ice monster back to life. Now climb on top of the tank. The man's expression... Elsie looked around the hall. Have you got a ladder, Professor? The man's expression darkened. Oops, he replied. I forgot that. Not so great after all, are you? Mused the girl. The professor gripped the pickaxe tightly. I'll find a way, said Elsie. She looked around the main hall for something, anything that she could use as a ladder. Elsie realised that the answer was standing right next to her. The Diplodocus, she explained. The enormous dinosaur skeleton was towering over her. You can climb that? He asked. Yeah, I have monkey feet. I'll think of it as a dino ladder. What a genius idea of mine, announced the professor. Then, when you reach the tank, you must swim down to the creature's heart. I've already told you, I can't swim, but I could sink. What do you mean? Professor, may I borrow your pickaxe? Be my guest. The girl took it from him. It felt really heavy, but she did her best to pretend that it wasn't. She marched over to the glass cabinet that housed a rock the size of a football. Crash! She smashed the glass and heaved out the rock. That's a meteorite, remarked the professor. There you go, she said, passing back the pickaxe. The meteorite will make me sink. What a splendid idea of mine, he mused. Elsie placed the end of the copper wire back in her mouth and picked up the rock. Slowly but surely her monkey feet began stepping along the bones of the tail. As if climbing a dinosaur skeleton holding a meteorite wasn't hard enough already, it was dark in the museum. The only light was the occasional flash of lightning outside the snow-encrusted windows. Quickly, he ordered the professor. We're going to lose that bolt of lightning. I'm going as fast as I can, snapped the girl. The bones themselves were smooth, which meant it was very easy to slip on them. Elsie took it slowly, letting her toes grip as tightly as they could. In a short while she had reached the skeleton's back. This being a much wider part, she managed to speed up. Now the girl was at the base of the neck and a very long way up. Elsie looked down. That was a mistake. It was a very long way down. Instantly she felt dizzy. She shut her eyes. This just made her feel wobblier. Why on earth have you stopped, you pathetic child? Elsie took a deep breath. A bolt of lightning struck just outside the window, illuminating everything for a split second. The girl knew she had to act now. Still holding the meteorite, she took a step forward, and another, and another. Soon she was halfway across the skeleton's neck and within leaping distance of the mammoth's tank. Boom! A roll of thunder roared across the sky. It was so loud that the museum shook a little. It made Elsie's heart skip a beat, and she lost her footing. Ah! she screamed. Chapter 30, Eye of the Storm. Elsie tumbled forward, but by beautiful chance the back of her coat hooked onto one of the Diplodocus bones. Without even realizing quite what had happened, the girl found herself swinging in the air, still miraculously holding on to the meteorite. "I'm alive!" she exclaimed. "Yes, I can see that, you foolish child. Now come on, stop dilly-dallying. We haven't got all night." The girl swung her legs forward and gripped onto the neck bones with her legs wrapped tightly round the exhibit. She unhooked her coat and swung herself back up, using the meteorite for momentum. The skull of the Diplodocus was within spitting distance of the tank. From there she leapt onto the top. Doink! The tank was freezing, and her toes tingled with the cold. "Have you found the hatch?" demanded the professor. Elsie looked ahead. "Yes! Unscrew the bolts round the edge." She put down the meteorite and opened the hatch. "Now get in and push the end of the copper wire into the mammoth's heart, just what I showed you." Elsie nodded, picked up the meteorite and plunged down into the icy water. Splosh! "Ugh!" she exclaimed. The cold shocked her. She could hardly breathe. Still holding the meteorite, she sank like a stone. Within a second, she was at the bottom of the tank. From his wheelchair, the professor frantically pointed out to Elsie where the creature's heart was. Elsie let go of the meteorite and floated upwards, plunging the end of the copper wire deep into the mammoth's chest. Elsie now felt completely out of breath. She let herself float back up to the top of the tank. Her head bobbing through the hatch, she gasped for air, with her entire body shaking from the cold. She hauled herself up onto the top of the tank. There she lay, soaking wet and shivering, but thankful to still be alive. "Don't just lie there, child," the professor called up. "What now?" "Look outside the window. We're in the middle of a storm. Time is of the essence. You need to tug that wire 3 times as a signal to Dotty to take off in the hot air balloon." The girl did as she was told. Tug, tug, tug. Next, Elsie leapt off the tank and back onto the Diplodocus skeleton. Within moments, the length of the wire tightened. "Perfect!" cried the professor. Look, there's the woolly mammoth, and Elsie sinking to the bottom of his tank. Up on the roof of the museum, a cold and miserable Dotty finally got the signal. As fast as she could, she untied the ropes that were holding the basket down and took to the skies. Whoosh! The lady was flying straight into the heart of the storm. Soon bolts of lightning were exploding all around her. Boom, boom, boom! Against her better judgment, she steered the balloon into their path, and bang! A rush of electricity struck the tin helmet on top of the balloon. Ting! The copper wire glowed as energy shot through it. Zzz. "Oh no," whispered Dotty to herself. "I think a bit of wee came out." A bolt of lightning sped all the way down the wire to the tower, down the chimney, across the director's office, along the corridor, round the corner, down the steps and into the tank. The punch of electricity hit the mammoth straight in the heart. They had done it. Or had they? The professor and Elsie looked on as nothing happened. Nothing at all. Nothing. Naught. Zero. Zilch. "No! It hasn't worked!" raged the professor. "Wait," whispered the girl. "I can sense something's changed." Elsie put her hand up to the glass and looked deep into the mammoth's eyes. Unless her mind was playing tricks on her, she was sure the creature was staring straight back at her. Then the most incredible thing happened. It blinked. "Did you see that, Professor?" "What?" "It blinked." In his wheelchair, the professor began shaking with excitement. He took a deep breath and, before proclaiming, "It's alive!" So, they seem to have woken up the woolly mammoth. We'll have to see what happens later.
I want to see the picture. Is he live?
He's alive. Do you want to see? Let's show them at home. There he is. Right. See you next time.
Why were
Are you saying bye?
Mum, why these? Why? No, you're meant.
Are you going to say bye quickly?
No, you're not meant to. You're not meant to scream when the mummy is sleeping.
Okay, sorry. Are you going to say bye?
No.
Okay.